This is Dale Hansen Sports Special, Monday night. Now live, Dale Hansen.
It's Monday Night Football on Channel 8 again because it's the Cowboys and Cardinals in Arizona. I'm Dale Hansen with former Cowboys coach Glenn Smith. So much to talk about on this special sports special tonight, and we will. Joe Trahan's in Arizona. He's talking to the Cowboys Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith tonight. We'll talk to fans here and there, and yeah, we'll talk about that flag issue, too. You know, Glenn, I'm almost beginning to think a lot of people have forgotten there is a game to be played in Arizona tonight.
Monday Night Football, one of the biggest stages that there is in the country, no question.
And it's a very important game to the Cowboys after what we saw last week.
It is an important game. Playing for first place in the NFC East, a chance to reset after that stinkopotamus they let out there in Denver.
We will talk a lot of football tonight, I promise we will. But you know, we can't ignore the elephant in the whole country right now. You know, Glenn, I don't think as many owners as we saw linking arms with players yesterday support the issue as much as some people think. I just think those owners realize that they can maybe ignore Colin Kaepernick if they want, who started this last year, but they can't ignore the entire football team.
Or what would be, in a sense, about 3/4 of your roster if you want to talk that issue. They can't ignore that. There's no question about it.
Well, we shall see how this plays out, but a lot of people are wondering what will the Cowboys do tonight. And Joe Trahan's in Arizona with more on that. Joe?
Yeah, thanks so much, Dale. As so often is the case, the Cowboys find themselves smack dab in the middle of the spotlight. The team has sidestepped the anthem controversy so far, but that will end tonight. Here's what we know. A Cowboys source telling me earlier today that last night the Cowboys Players Leadership Council held a meeting and that they have planned something, some show of unity that we will see before the game tonight. Now, I reached out to a few players. They have been tight-lipped on exactly what they'll do. Now, here is one thing to consider, though. One of the most powerful social statements in recent memory by the Cowboys happened in the wake of the Dallas police shootings last year. On the first day of training camp a year ago, the Cowboys took the field in Oxnard, arm in arm with then Dallas Police Chief David Brown, Mayor Mike Rawlings, and family members of fallen officers. The expectation is tonight's show of unity will include some sort of linking of arms as a symbol of this team's solidarity. President Trump's comments Friday calling for owners to fire players who protested during the anthem set off some form of protest from all 28 NFL teams that played yesterday. Now, the day before that, Cowboys head coach Jason Garrett downplayed the issue, but that's impossible now. The unprecedented intersection of the NFL and politics has the entire sports world buzzing, and tonight will only add to that conversation. Now, we already know that Cowboys owner Jerry Jones does not like to get his team into political dealings. He understands that his fan base is incredibly diverse, and if he goes one way or the other, he knows that he will have a backlash from at least some part of the Cowboys nation. But after what happened yesterday in the NFL, to do nothing would be a political statement in and of itself, and there would be much more explaining to do as opposed to what we may see on this night. It's interesting. The entire country is focused on what will happen before this game begins, and we'll be watching to see exactly how the Cowboys play this one out. Dale, we'll be back later in the show.
All right, Joe. You think any of this stuff, Glenn, affects how they play tonight?
I do think it affects how they play. I think anytime you add something a little more to your plate, or you put something more on your mind, as mental as the game of football is, I mean, just think about an offensive line that's going to carry 15 different protections into this game. And then if I add something else on that plate, it's going to overflow a little bit.
But you do expect the Cowboys to play well.
I do expect the Cowboys to come out tonight and play with a sense of urgency and get after a football team that they should get after.
Well, we will talk a little more football and talk to some Cowboys fans right after this. Cowboys and Cardinals are getting ready in Arizona. The fans are there too, but about an hour now before they kick it off. We're back with former Cowboys coach Glenn Smith taking you up to the national anthem tonight before the Cowboys and Cardinals kick it off in Arizona. We talked about this a little bit last night, but can the Cowboys win if Zeke Elliott and the Cowboys can't run the football?
It'll be difficult. This Arizona secondary can cover. We know Peterson. We know the Honey Badgers back there. Dallas needs to get back with really what butters their bread, which is running the football and being a physical team. The back needs to get back to being a physical runner, and that's going to be the key to the football game.
And you don't think he was running as hard in that Denver game as he was against the Giants?
I don't. I think his legal issues are weighing on him, and we talked about that in the first segment. I think it weighs on you, and I think you could tell that was a part of how his posture in the game, Dale.
Yeah, but Denver had a great deal of success stacking up that line of scrimmage. Can the Cardinals do that? Can they play that way?
They can play that way, and I think you will see them try to play that way. Then the issue becomes, does Dallas push the football vertically? Do they go downfield? Do they get a Bryce Butler involved who has the speed to get vertical? Those are the things that, as the chess pieces move early in the game that we're going to have to see. But you know what, Dale? The bottom line is 8-man front, 9-man front. It's an attitude running the football, and they need to go in there and run the football.
I think it is, too. A lot of Cowboys fans are finding their favorite spot to watch this game tonight. And Sean Giggy's at the owner's box. Sean?
Nobody wants. Hey there, Dale. How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys?
Yes.
Let's
Now,
go Cowboys.
A lot of these fans, guys, here tonight, I don't even know if you guys can hear me. A lot of these fans here tonight aren't even from Dallas. I got my man Tony here. And take a look at this, Mel. Check out this tie, the ring. He's got the cufflinks, Cowboys, everything. He's from D.C. Tony, and he's here for a conference. How in the world is a man from D.C. a Cowboys fan?
My dad started me off as a Cowboy fan. Washington is full of Dallas Cowboys, so D.C. stands for Dallas Cowboys.
D.C. stands for Dallas Cowboys. That explains why nothing good has come out of Washington in a while.
Hey. That's right.
How about my man Daryl over here?
You better know it.
What did you say you're bringing?
I'm bringing the thunder from down under. 1,000 pounds of Cowboy lightning, baby. You know what I'm saying? When I was just a knee high, the first word I said was cowboy.
How did it sound?
I didn't say daddy or mama. I said cowboy.
How did it sound?
Cowboy.
It sounded like that. Now you got a big game tonight. Cowboys haven't lost 2 games in a row since January of 2015. It's been almost 3 years.
Yes.
Now, obviously, the game's kind of being overshadowed by all this national anthem stuff.
That's right.
But that doesn't take away from you guys' desire to want to watch these boys, does it?
No, it does not. This is America's team. And we understand that America is free and we love everybody. If you're a fan of any other team, you're welcome to come aboard now. Because when we get to the Super Bowl, baby, you're going to tell them again. They want to come? Come on.
All right. Well, you heard it from the man who's been a Cowboys fan since birth.
Since
Cowboys
birth.
are winning the Super Bowl. Well, we'll find out if they can get it started tonight in Arizona against the Cardinals. Back to you, Dale.
All right, Sean. I think this could be a problem for the NFL in the future. I really do, and I've thought about this for quite a while. I would rather watch a game with those guys at a bar or just sitting in the comfort of my home than buy a ticket and sit in the crowd. What about you?
I agree with you. You go to Jerry World, don't you end up looking at that big old screen anyway? You might as well be in the comfort of your own home, loving on your dogs and hanging out a little bit.
Former Cowboys general manager Tex Schramm used to always say how concerned he was that as television got better, that people would make the NFL into a studio sport. And I think that could happen. That'd be terrible for the league, wouldn't it?
It would be bad, but think about the lines that are out there for the first down. You don't have that if you're not in the comfort of your own home. You don't have the pylon cam. You're not seeing as good a replay. It's not the experience that it is sitting in your own living room.
Well, I don't think it is. I'm told it's a great experience in the crowd, but I'll stay at home. Hey, Joe Trahan is talking to the great Emmitt Smith next. Cowboys and Cardinals still about 45 minutes away, and we will get you there. Back with Glenn Smith talking about this game tonight. I don't think it's any coincidence that this Cowboys team tries to play the way their Super Bowl teams of the 90s did. But can they play that way?
I think so. If Ezekiel Elliott can get back to doing what he did last year, which was making some great 2- and 3-yard runs. We look at Emmitt Smith, some of his greatest runs, Dale, were 3- and 4-yard runs where we would make a mistake up front or the safety would come in. He would make that guy miss and still spit it in there for 4 yards.
Are we ever going to see NFL teams change and start playing like college teams do?
I think you see a little bit of that now. You see some of the read option in the pro game, but not a lot because Dale, if the Cowboys quarterback goes down, you got issues on this team.
You got a lot of issues. Those Cowboys teams did like to run the ball first, and no one ran it much better than the Cowboys Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith. Back to Arizona, and Joe Trahan for that. Joe?
Yeah, thanks so much, Dale. And you're right. Emmitt Smith was so instrumental in the Cowboys winning those 3 Super Bowl championships. But I want to share something with you because I'm convinced. I believe that Emmitt Smith can also help this year's Cowboys team be the best that they can be. I want you to watch this story because it's my case for why Emmitt Smith could be the ideal role model for Cowboys running back Zeke Elliott.
That should do it. Sweetness, make a place for Emmitt.
He created a new benchmark for NFL success. 18,355, the most rushing yards ever. But Smith didn't let that number or his football career define him, becoming an example to follow.
If you had advice to give other NFL players as their career winds down, what's the best advice you can offer?
There's no such thing as not having enough time. That is a complete lie because I've lived 15 off seasons, trust me. When I think back and reflect over some of the time that I wasted, yes, I was on the golf course all day from 9 o'clock. Yes, you got to have fun, and I understand that, but you really need to start thinking about the next 50 years of your life after the game.
I like what you said, though. You've got to further your education.
All of it is education. I mean, every last aspect of it all is education.
His education included finishing his degree at Florida 6 years into his NFL career. Late in his playing days, Smith began learning a new game, real estate, following in the footsteps of fellow Cowboys icon Roger Staubach. Emmitt Smith Enterprises includes several companies in the real estate, construction, and technology fields, creating success Smith could have never imagined.
Now I got a portfolio. What's a portfolio? Portfolio of records, a portfolio of CDs, a portfolio of 8-tracks. Which one are you talking about? So the point is, once you get to this portfolio stage, it's like, okay, so this is how you manage money. This is how folks manage money. I didn't have any money to invest in the stock market back in the day.
He's also investing in those in need, like at this back-to-school event hosted by Pat and Emmitt Smith Charities. The philanthropy making a difference in young lives, especially those on Team 22, a select group of kids Smith says are like an extension of his own family.
You know, my mom told me years ago, no matter how high you go, no matter how successful you become, never forget where you come from.
Tell me about the return that you get from investing in these kids.
It is rewarding when you're able to see kids go off and become responsible adults and become productive citizens, which I think is the aspiration of the whole entire country, is to have people that are productive.
Long after his playing days are done, Smith's still winning on many fronts, which brings us to the man playing his same position today.
Zeke's gone! Goodbye, Zeke!
I'm here for him. I'm here to support him in any which way I can, advice, sit down and chat, whatever he wants to do, I'm here for him. At the end of the day, you have to take a step back and say, I care about the person more than I care about the football player. The football is what he does, but it's not who he is.
Smith understands, perhaps making him the ideal mentor. Emmitt says he leaned on guys like Michael Jordan, Roger Staubach, and Magic Johnson, among others.
And Elliott walks the dog.
And now it could be time for Elliott to reach out.
That advice is unmeasurable, and not to take it would be kind of foolish if you ask me.
I think he's right. I think he's absolutely right, and I have evidence for my case, because you want to know who used Emmitt Smith as a mentor? Former TCU great LaDainian Tomlinson. Hall of Famer LaDainian Tomlinson. As a matter of fact, during that interview, we finished it up, and Emmitt Smith showed me his phone. There was a text on it from LaDainian Tomlinson. Smith is a great resource that Zeke Elliott needs to use. Dale, back to you.
Right, Joe. I mean, he was and is very special. And the work he does with those young kids is incredible. Where do you put him on your all-time running backs list?
He's in the top 3. I mean, Jim Brown. We could argue Barry Sanders.
Gale Sayers?
Gale Sayers. We might, we could kick 1 or 2 around, but after that, it's a short list. It's a short list.
Yeah. I used to think anybody could run behind that line and with that team. After he had that holdout for 2 games, and much like they think about the guys on this team, not every back can run behind every good offensive line.
No, because again, when there's not anything there, Dale, it takes a special guy to find that soft spot and then hit it up in there.
And he did that a lot. Hey, my producer, Orr Boyle, and a young man I've known since he was about 5, Sterling Horning, have been thinking about this Cowboys team their way. And off to the break we go. Hey, before we continue here, a little programming note. Since we have the Cowboys on Channel 8 tonight, you can see the premiere of The Good Doctor tomorrow night at 7 on Channel 8. And week 2 of Dancing with the Stars is airing right now on Channel 8.2. Get back here. Or you can see both of them on abc.com tomorrow night. Okay, you have worked for Cowboys owner Jerry Jones. I make fun of him a lot, you might have noticed. But did you like working for him?
I love working for him. Anytime you get a guy every year, take you right down here down the road to Needless Markup and hand you a $10,000 gift card, how good does that get? How good does that? Heck, if I needed extra tickets, hey, there were extra tickets available. I said Needless Markup. Neiman Marcus, by the way. It's a hell of a place to go.
But he's a very positive guy to work for.
Very positive guy to work for. Always in a great mood. He wanted to know what was going on, and sometimes you're a little uncomfortable in those situations, but bottom line, Dale, great guy to work for.
Okay, Jerry doesn't like me much anymore. Heck if I know why. And his wife Jean, she doesn't like me either, and she never has. But I've always thought Jean Jones is a saint. Here's Cynthia Izaguirre.
We see her, but we rarely hear from her. Tonight, a one-on-one interview with the woman who calls herself the mom of the Dallas Cowboys, Jean Jones. Jerry Jones' college sweetheart, the proud mother of their 3 children and 9 grandchildren. Tonight, we talk about football and family, including more than half a century with Jerry Jones. It was an open, honest, and raw conversation.
So we went to the county fair, and all the boys were winning little teddy bears, throwing baseballs at little dolls, trying to knock them over. And Jerry wasn't having a lot of luck with that. So he disappeared. And a little later, he came right back, carrying the biggest teddy bear at the carnival and wearing a bigger smile on his face. He had gone back behind and bought me a teddy bear. It was the beginning of our relationship. So we married 3 years later.
So 54 years?
54 years.
How do you describe it?
A roller coaster. It's been great. I wouldn't change.
We have unfortunately had some problems with that. We'll take a break and we'll be right back.
The Dallas Cowboys are an institution, a way of life in North Texas, and every bit as legendary, the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
The uniform is symbolic of the finest, the best. Ladies spelled with a capital L, wholesome, clean cut, up front.
But there was a moment where that future was in question, a day when the cheerleaders quit.
It has been suggested to me that there was talk about changing the uniform and possibly in a way to make the uniform a little more, whatever you want to call it. That's just not the case.
And tonight after the game, we look back to those heated days of 1989 and the moment when the future of the institution was in doubt.
Hopefully we'll get that package a little bit later, but Monday Night Football is back on Channel 8 tonight. And a lot of Cowboys fans in Arizona for this game. Tressa Tudrick is in Arizona, talking to some of those fans now. Tressa?
Thanks, guys. Yes, Cowboy fans do travel in numbers and packs. They're spread everywhere across the Great Lawn. A lot of excitement and expectations for tonight's Monday night football game against the Arizona Cardinals. I went out and found some Cowboys fans pertaining to the game because the event is bigger than the game itself. Vanita and Carlos, thank you for joining us. Vanita, I'll start with you. In lieu of recent events, what do you think Cowboys players should do tonight during the national anthem? Should they stand? Should they kneel? Wait in the locker room? Or what is your take?
I think they should stand, absolutely. They should be honored to be an American as I am, and they should feel that tingle going down their body when that national anthem is said.
So you're definitely in favor of them standing in lieu of everything else?
Exactly, yes.
Thank you, Vanita. Carlos, let's go to you and what your opinion is on the take situation revolving around the protests in the national anthem stands.
I think we should stand united, stand behind our players. We have a freedom of speech, we should all stand united. Back up, our players. They're standing there representing, the American flag, but still, we got to represent them. Stand united. Me and my friends, we're gonna stand united. We're gonna stand united.
And we're looking forward to the game tonight. Yes, a lot of excitement and expectations. Everyone here, Cowboys fans coming in numbers and hot, but again, the game has a lot more lying on it tonight versus the national anthem and the Cowboys and Cardinals. It's going to be a fun one here in Arizona. We'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Tress, where was the worst place to play when you were coaching?
Oh, without question, Philadelphia.
Why is it always Philadelphia?
You get into that city and those ships are sitting over there in mothballs, and it's not a very pretty place. You fly over the Schuylkill River, you get to a stadium that's not very pretty, in a town that's pretty daggone rough on Cowboys.
And the best place?
Green Bay.
Oh, yeah.
The thought of
That's
walking
very cool,
in, and hearing, you can almost hear Lombardi. Grab, everybody grabbing. Fun to get into a place that the fans have fun, and they want you there.
All right. Well, let's see what we're doing here. We'll talk about this flag issue, as you might expect we will. And I'm unplugged about that next. We're going to get to that Gene Jones story in just a moment because I cannot have that woman hating me any more than she already has for about 20 plus years. But before we do that, as I said earlier, we promise you more football talk. Joe Trahan had an incredible stat last night that Des Bryant has an incredibly high number of passes thrown his way, but he's not catching very many of those. Who do we blame for that?
Well, some of it falls on the quarterback. Some of it falls on his drops. He's dropped a lot of balls in critical situations. I think there's enough blame to go around there, Dale. Bottom line is he gets paid to be a top receiver, and he needs to start making those plays. No more drops.
But when I hear a lot of people calling into the talk shows and like saying that it's on Scott Linehan to do something special, to show some wrinkles, is there really a great deal you can do to get him more open?
Well, you can run some, underneath rub routes. I'm not going to call them pick routes. You can do some things from a motion standpoint to try to get him off man coverage, Dale. But ultimately, he's got to go and get to be a better route runner if he lacks the speed to truly go deep. And I'm starting to question if he's lost a half step. I'm
beginning to wonder as well. We do have that story ready. The story of Gene Jones and her time with Cowboys owner Jerry Jones. Here's Cynthia Izagari.
We see her, but we rarely hear from her. Tonight, a one-on-one interview with the woman who calls herself the mom of the Dallas Cowboys, Gene Jones. Jerry Jones' college sweetheart, the proud mother of their 3 children and 9 grandchildren. Tonight, we talk about football and family, including more than half a century with Jerry Jones. It was an open, honest, and raw conversation.
So we went to the county fair, and all the boys were winning little teddy bears, throwing baseballs at little dolls, trying to knock them over. And Jerry wasn't having a lot of luck with that. So he disappeared. And a little later, he came right back carrying the biggest teddy bear at the carnival and wearing a bigger smile on his face. He had gone back behind and bought me a teddy bear. It was the beginning of our relationship. So we married 3 years later.
So 54 years?
54 years.
How do you describe it?
A roller coaster. It's been great. I really wouldn't change a day of it. You look around, we have 9 beautiful grandchildren, and every holiday we're all together. He's all in about family, and I never forget when the kids were young, Jerry introduced me to a business friend, and they were like, so does Jerry play golf, or what's his hobby? And I'm like, I think it's our kids, and that's what both of our hobbies have been.
When Jerry told you that he wanted to buy the Dallas Cowboys, what in the world did you say to him?
I knew it had been a dream of his. You know, it had been a dream. Oh. Just a moment. It was such a big challenge to do this, and it was something I knew Jerry wanted to be involved in sports. He loved being an Arkansas Razorback, and it was such an exciting time in our life, the time we were at the University of Arkansas. And he loved the game of football. And when he found out that the Dallas Cowboys were available for him to be a part of, he was just thrilled beyond explanation. And he came to our kids, and it's like, this is a great undertaking, and it's our future, it's their future, and we're risking our future on this investment.
I hear in your words what a sacrifice this has been for your family.
It was in the beginning. It was a great sacrifice, and Jerry knew it was going to be, and he knew the numbers really were not working out. Not really what you would expect to do with your future when you were at that stage in your life. It's kind of like winning that teddy. Ooh, what's wrong with me? But it's like winning the teddy bear. He wants something, and he really he just doesn't take no for an answer.
Speaking of family, what was it like in Houston the night before the Super Bowl when the family learned Jerry was going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
It was amazing. It was more amazing than I expected. We had every member of our family there, all of our kids, all 9 of our grandchildren. When the knock came, none of us have ever experienced anything more exciting. It was such a special day.
Presenting Jerry Jones for enshrinement into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Gene Jones.
What did it feel like when he asked you to be the one to introduce him?
Well, of course, it was great, but what our vision had actually been, I really wanted all 3 of our children to introduce Jerry. I was wishing for that, but they have rules that only one person can do it. Well, you don't pick one of your 3 children.
My wife, Jean, you've kept me between the rails when I didn't really have the strength to get to the middle. You're my presenter tonight because you've always presented this family in a loving and caring light that only you could provide.
I was thrilled because there are many people he could have thought about, and I do know that it's been all about family. This journey with the Cowboys has been a family event.
And he cannot do that without the support of you and his family.
He believes that. I know he does. And he counts on his children. And, he tells people every day he's been standing on their shoulders for the last 25 years. And we just live as a family, and that after your children become 50 years old, sometimes you're not that close. Your families live in different parts of the world, and we just are blessed. We live within blocks of each other, and we're involved in our grandchildren's life, and it's what makes our life magical.
I said she was a saint, and I'm right about that. Whether you like it or not, the flag issue and the anthem issue is the story of the night, and Mike Leslie joins us now with more on that. Mike?
Hey, Dale, thanks. Yeah, it's been over a year that players have been protesting by kneeling, but here we are still talking about that they're kneeling instead of why they're kneeling, and the focus on that increased tenfold this weekend.
Oh, say, can you see?
The response was strong.
This is bigger than me, man.
The response to Donald Trump's Friday night comments.
Get that son of a
off the field right now. Out. He's fired. He's fired.
And the Rockets red clear.
Players from all 28 teams who played Sunday, protesting in one way, shape, or form.
It's bigger than me. I got a daughter. She's going to have to live in this world. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to do whatever I got to do to make sure, you know, she can look at my dad, look at her dad and be like, hey, you did something, you tried to make a change. You feel me?
Players for 19 teams took a knee or sat. Players around the league linked arms. And 3 teams did not come out onto the field for the anthem at all, including the Seattle Seahawks. The players were not protesting against the anthem itself, but protesting against injustice during the anthem.
There is inequality out there. You know, there isn't liberty and justice for all.
You're only a football player for a certain amount of your time, and for the rest of the time, you're a human being, and you want to be able to bring people together and be able to unite people, and for us, that's what it really was about.
Not all players knelt. Saints quarterback Drew Brees agreed with the premise that injustice exists in this country.
But if a protest becomes that we're going to sit down or kneel or not show respect to the flag of the United States of America and everything that it symbolizes and everything that it stands for and everything our country has been through to get to this point, I do not agree with that.
When the Steelers players did not come out for the anthem, one player did anyway. Alejandro Villanueva, a former Army Ranger, stood in the tunnel and saluted the flag.
This has nothing to do with race or anything else. This has to do with respect for our country and respect for our flag.
But these protests did begin with a racial premise. Former 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick knelt during the anthem to protest oppression and racial injustice. A handful of players joined him over the course of the last year. Then Sunday, hundreds showed their solidarity. And they were criticized all over again on Twitter.
But these are the same people that today during the Patriots game are booing guys during the national anthem. You know, they don't see that as disrespect. It's really a strange hypocrisy.
We stand with our brothers. You know, they have the right to protest, and we knelt with them today. I guess we're all son of a.
Interestingly, Villanueva, the Steelers player who stood, said today that he got stuck out on the field and apologized to his coach and his team for embarrassing them. Dale?
Right, Mike. Former 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick takes a knee during the national anthem in San Francisco last year. We noticed, but very few players joined him. Not many players seem to care. He can't get a job in the NFL now, and very few have said much about that either. But the president says he wants that peaceful protest to stop, says those players should be fired if they take a knee during the anthem, and calls those players a name I never thought I'd live long enough to hear a president say, and now everybody cares. Donald Trump has said he supports a peaceful protest because it's an American's right. But not this protest, and there's the problem. Any protest you don't agree with is a protest that should be stopped. Martin Luther King should have marched across a different bridge. Young black Americans should have gone to a different college and found a different lunch counter. And college kids in the 60s had no right to protest an immoral war. I served in the military during the Vietnam War, and my foot hurt too. But I've served anyway. My best friend in high school was killed in Vietnam, and Carol Meyer will be 18 years old forever, and he did not die so that you could decide who is a patriot and who loves America more. The young black athletes are not disrespecting America or the military by taking a knee during the anthem. They are respecting the best thing about America. It's a dog whistle to the racist among us to say otherwise. They and all of us should protest how black Americans are treated in this country. And if you don't think white privilege is a fact, you don't understand America. The comedian Chris Rock says it best. There's not a white man in America who would trade places with him, and he's rich. It has not gone unnoticed that Trump has spoken out against the Mexicans who want to come to America for a better life, against the Muslims, and now against the black athlete. But he says nothing for days about the white men who marched under a Nazi flag in Charlottesville, except to remind us there were good people there. And when he finally tried to say the right thing, not one of them was called an SOB or should be fired. We have white men in America who wave the Nazi flag and the Confederate flag, and he's concerned about taking a knee because it disrespects this flag. We use that flag to sell mattresses and beer. We wear it as a swimsuit. We wrap our bald heads in a flag bandana and stick it in our pants because we disrespect that flag every day. Maybe we all need to read the Constitution again. There has never been a better use of pen to paper. Our forefathers made freedom of speech the First Amendment. They listed 10, and not one of them says you have to stand during the anthem. And I think those men respected the country they fought for and founded a great deal more than the self-proclaimed patriots who are simply hypocrites because they want to deny the basic freedom of this great country, a country they supposedly value and cherish so much. Hey, that's it for us. For Glenn Smith, I'm Dale Hansen. I'll answer your emails during the game. It's the Cowboys and Cardinals next. Enjoy the game, everybody.